Hey everyone, I hope you are doing well. I am sad I'm not going to be able to see you guys today. So instead of me teaching you in person, this is my virtual lesson. So today we are talking about how to factor things when a is not equal to 0. Now, we'll talk more about what a means, but this is tricky factoring. This is as tricky as factoring is going to get for us. So let's do a little bit of a recap from last class. Let's say you've got something like x squared minus 4x minus 5. The process we went through is we make a list of all the numbers that multiply to be this last number. So 1 and negative 5, negative 1 and 5, and that's it. And we're trying to find a combination that adds up to be this number in the middle, negative 4, and that one does it. So once you find your combination, we can write this as x plus 1 times x minus 5. And we just check our answer. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. 1 plus negative 5 is negative 4, and it all checks out. So go ahead, guys, and pause this video and do the next 3 of these examples. Okay, so let's do this really fast. Negative 18, negative 1 and 18, negative 2 and 9, negative 3 and 6. And I'm just going to check my combination so far. 18 minus 1, 17, doesn't work. 9 minus 2 is 7, doesn't work. 6 minus 3 is positive 3, doesn't work, but it's close. That reminds me, or that makes me think that I can do negative 6 and 3. And negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. They multiply to be negative 18. So I've got x minus 6, x plus 3. And then this one, 14, negative 7, negative 2 will do it. X squared minus 100, this one is a difference of squares. And so this is x minus 10, x plus 10. Okay, you can think of this as x squared minus 0x minus 100. And so you're looking for two numbers that multiply to be negative 100 that add up to be 0, and 10 and negative 10 fit the bill. Okay, so what all of these have in common is that the coefficient of the x squared term has been 1. What if you had something, I don't know why this is weird. All right, what if you had something like this, 2x squared plus 14x plus 20? So the first thing you check, and make sure this is the first thing you check. The first thing you check is whether you can factor out a coefficient of the x squared term. So let me show you this example below. 2x squared plus 14x plus 20. On this one, we can factor out 2 from all of those terms, and that turns into x squared plus 7x plus 10. And now, how do we factor x squared plus 7x plus 10? Well, I look at 10, I say 5 times 2 is 10, 1 times 10 is 10, and that's my combination. So I've got x plus 5, x plus 2, and I've just been able to factor this pretty easily by ignoring that 2, okay? So that should be the first thing you try, is to factor out a term like that. So here we got 3x squared plus 9x plus 6. 3 goes into all those terms. And now we got x squared plus 3x plus 2. And now we can factor this into x plus 2, x plus 1. And I just check 2 times 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, and so it works out. Okay, so go ahead and do this next one, 5x squared plus 25x plus 30. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to do that. We factor out a 5, x squared plus 5x plus 6, and now we've got x plus 3, x plus 2. And the last one, go ahead and give that a try. Okay, 2x squared plus x minus 12, so that's 2x plus 4x minus 3. And we have 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. 4 minus 3 is positive 1. And so it works out. Okay, so that has all been mostly review. We had one little twist here involved, which is the case where you have a coefficient that all the terms you can divide out of all the terms. Okay, now let's look at this. This is going to be the bulk of today, is something like this. 2x squared plus 15x plus 7. Now in this case, we can't factor a 2 out of all the terms. If we did, we'd have fractions and decimals, and that would make it even harder to factor. So here is the first method we're going to talk about, which is just called the stab in the dark method. We're just going to make some stuff up and see if it works. Now the last term is 7, so this thing and this thing have to multiply to be 7. So it could be 7 and 1, or it could be 1 and 7. Now this term is 2, so it could be 2 and 1. So I'll write it like that. Okay, so we could have 2x and then... So those are the two different possibilities that I see, and now you just have to multiply this out and see what happens. So 2x times x is going to be 2x squared. 2x times 1 is 2x. Now we do 7 times 1x is plus 7x, and now we do 7 times 1 is 7, and I check and see if it matches this, and it doesn't, because that gives me 9x for my middle term, and I want to have 15x. Okay, so now we're going to try this one. 2x times x. Let me switch colors. Let's do red. No, let's do blue here. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 7 is 14x. 1 times x is 1x, and finally 1 times 7 is 7. And that works because it gives me my 2x squared, it gives me my 15x, and it gives me my 7. So the correct factoring of this is this one, parentheses 2x plus 1 times parentheses x plus 7. Okay, so that one wasn't too bad. Let's do this one with the stab in the dark method. Okay, 3x squared plus 16x plus 5. Go ahead, actually, let's pause this video, and I want you to work this out on your own. See if you can guess the possibilities that are going to work here. Okay, so maybe you tried 3x and 5 times 1x and 1. I don't know if this is going to work, but let's try it. 3x times x is 3x squared. That's going to give us 5x. This is going to give us 3x. 5x and 3x, oh, that just gives us 8x. So that doesn't work. So now instead of that, what if we do 1 and 5? So 3x and x gives us 3x squared. Now we got 3x times 5, that's 15x. 1x, that's 1x. And that gives us 16x, and then 1 times 5 is 5, and so that actually works out. So a little guessing and checking showed us that the correct factoring for this is 3x plus 1 times x plus 5. Now on to this one. Actually, let's skip that one. Okay, sometimes though you've got a lot of possibilities. Let's look at this one. 6x squared. Well, 6x squared could either be 6x times 1x to get the 6x squared, or it could be 1x times 6x, or it could be 3x times 2x, or it could be 2x times 3x, and we'll just do 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 5, 5, 5. Now, if this number instead of 5 was 12, you can imagine how many different possibilities, right? So there's a lot of different options here, and I don't know which one is going to work. We're just going to check these terms. I know all of these are going to give us a 6x squared, because 6x times x, 1x times 6, 3x times 3. So I'm not going to check that. I know they're all going to give us a 5. I just want to check that term. So to check that term, we're going to do the middle term. That's 3x, and the outside term. So this gives us 3x plus 10x. That's 13x. So this has a middle term of 13x. This is going to be 2x plus 15x. Ooh, and that's going to work. That's going to give us 17x. So this is the one that I think works, but just for completeness, let's check this one. This is 6x plus 5x. That's 11x. This is 1x plus 30x. That's going to be 31x. So yeah, this is the one. So the proper factoring for this thing is parentheses 3x plus 1 times parentheses 2x plus 5. Okay, so that is the stabbing in the dark method, and it's just a lot of work, and it's a little uncertain, and if the numbers have tons of factors, then it's just going to be hard. So now we're going to get to an actual system, to factor these. I have to warn you up front, though, the system is a little bit involved. It'll always get you the right answer, but there are a few steps. So the first step is we're going to multiply a and c together. Now, what are a, b, and c? So a, b, and c are here. If you have your trinomial in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, a is the number next to your x squared term, b is the number next to your x term, and c is that constant guy that has no x's by it. So the very first step is we're going to multiply a and c together. Now again, a is this guy, the 6, and c is this term. So the value of a is 6, the value of c is 5. When we multiply them together, we get 30. So that's step number one. Step number one is you multiply a and c together. Forget the x's, just a and c. 6 times 5 is 30. Okay, now we are going on to step 2. Step 2, we are looking for a combination of numbers that multiply together to be a times c, 30 in our case, that add up to be the middle number, b. All right, so a times c is 30. We're going to list a pair of all the numbers that multiply to be 30. So that's 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 4 and, let's see, can we do 4? I don't think we can do 4. We can do 5 and 6. Okay, so I'm looking for pairs that add up to be 17 because that's my middle number, and 2 and 15 are it. Okay, so 2 and 15 are my special numbers. Okay, so the numbers we found are 2 and 15. Step number 3 is we're going to rewrite the original expression, but instead of writing the middle term, remember our middle term was 17x, instead of writing the middle term, we're going to break it up based on the two numbers we discovered above. The two numbers that we discovered above were 2 and 15, so now we're going to write this as 6x squared plus 2x plus 15x plus 5. Okay, going forward, whoop, didn't mean to zoom in like that. Going forward now, we are going to consider this as two separate things. So right here, this is 6x squared plus 2x, it's right there. And then over here, we've got 15x plus 5. And we're going to factor both of those things separately. Okay, so let's zoom in here, 6x squared plus 2x. What do these guys both have in common? Well, 6x squared, let's factor that. 6x squared is 3 times 2 times x times x. 2x is 2 times x. The thing they both have in common, they both have a 2 and an x in common, so their common factor is 2x. All right, so 2x goes there, and then the leftovers go inside. The leftover here is 3x, and the leftover here is, we'll just put a 1 there, okay? So we've got that first chunk factored, and now over here, let's factor this out. 15x plus 5, the common term here is 5, and this part is kind of like magic. If I factor this out, I'm going to get the exact same thing here as I get there, okay? It always will work out that way. It'll always work out that this thing in parentheses and this thing in parentheses will be the same. Okay, now finally we've got to factor the resulting expression. So to factor the resulting expression, we did this about a month ago. Well, hang on. We did this about a month ago, but we should talk about this a little bit more. So how do you factor this? Well, just forget that question for a second, and let's look at this. What if we had 2xa plus 5a? It's pretty clear here that the common factor is a for both. So because a, big A, is the common factor, I'm going to put it here on the outside of parentheses, and all the leftover stuff gets thrown inside the parentheses. So I can call this 2x plus 5. All right, now if I use the distributive property, I can check a times 2x is 2xa, a times 5 is 5a. Now right here, I want you to just not see this, and I want you to think of a. I want you to think of a, okay? So this is 2x times a plus 5 times a. It's the same thing here. Now the thing they both have in common is the a. This is the a. And now the leftovers go here, 2x and 5. So we can treat this thing, 3x plus 1, just like we can treat an a or a b or an x or any other term. It's just a factor, okay? So this whole thing is a factor, and they have that factor in common. They both have a 3x plus 1 in common, Okay, so then our final answer is 2x and 5. Now let's use the distributive property and check. 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 3x times 5 is 15x. 1 times 2x is 2x, and 1 times 5 is 5. And so we get back to our original thing, which is 6x squared plus 17x plus 5. How you doing? Okay, you're probably kind of confused right now. That's super normal. Let's go through a few more examples, and as we go through the examples, read through these steps and see what we're doing. Let's go a little bit faster, and maybe it'll be easier if we go a little bit faster. Step number 1, a times c. 4 times 3 is 12. Step number 2, make a list of numbers that equal 12. So 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Let's go negatives. -1, -12, -2, -6, -3, -4. Step number 3, circle the pair, I guess still step number 2, circle the pair that adds up to be the middle number, which is -8, and the one that gives us our -8 is that pair right there, -2, -6. Okay, now we're going to rewrite this, and we're going to rewrite this as, hang on a second. Okay, we're going to rewrite this as 4x squared minus 2x minus 6x plus 3. Okay, now we're going to factor this. This right here, 4 and -2, we're going to factor out a 2x, and we get 2x minus 1. Now we've got -6x and positive 3. So I want this thing in parentheses to be the same. I'm just going to do a little trick here where I'm going to write 2x minus 1 here. Now, what number do I have to write here to get my -6x? I have to do a -3. And if I do -3 times -1, I get the positive 3. So that works out. And so now I have my common factor, which is 2x minus 1, 2x minus 1. And now I have these, this and this. Let me circle these in blue. That and that are my leftovers, which I chuck in here. And I'm done. I factored it. Okay. Let's go through some more examples. Right here. 4x squared plus 4x minus 3. Multiply this and this together. We're going to get -12. Okay, now we're going to make a list of all the numbers that multiply to be -12. -1 and 12, -2 and 6, -3 and 4. And I'm trying to get 4. Let's do this. Let's do... Oh, no, I got 4. Boom, that's going to give me my 4. So we're going to write this out as 4x squared. Instead of 4x, we're going to rewrite that as minus 2x plus 6x minus 3. Okay, now we're going to factor each of these halves. 4 and -2, both of these, we can take a 2x out of them. And we got 2x minus 1. 6x and 3, we can take a 3 out of both of those. 2x minus 1, I got 2x minus 1, 2x minus 1, that's good. Common factor, we're going to put the common factor on the outside, and then the leftovers, 2x and 3, go here. Use the distributive property, see if it works. 2x times 3x, or 2x times 2x is 4x squared. That's going to give us 6x, that's going to give us minus 2x, that's going to give us minus 3, and when we simplify, we get back to our answer there. Okay, so not too bad. You can see you can go through these pretty fast once you get the hang of it. Let's do this one, try to do it relatively efficiently. And I'm really struggling with my Zoom today, guys. Got to figure that out. Okay, all right, let's just try this. I don't have my ruler there. Okay, so 2 and -7 is going to be -14. I'm making my list. 1 and -14, 2 and -7, -2 and 7, and that's my winner because I'm trying to get that 5. So we're going to rewrite this now as 2x squared plus minus 2x plus 7x minus 7. Now, just stop for a second and make sure this is equivalent. 2x squared, 2x squared. -2x plus 7x, positive 5x, -7. So it's equivalent. We're just broken up that middle term a bit. And the reason we do that is here is where the magic happens. this guy, let's break it in half this way. I can take a 2x out of this, and I get x minus 1. I can take a 7 out of this, I've got x minus 1. Now this is my common factor for both. X minus 1 is a common factor, and now my leftovers can get dropped in there. Okay, and I can use the distributive property and check, which I'd recommend doing. Last one. Oh, that isn't the last one. Last one's over here. This guy, we've got 9x squared minus 9x minus 10. So we're going to multiply 9 times negative 10. We're going to get negative 90. Negative 90, we'll probably have a lot of choices here. We got negative 1 and 90, negative 2 and 45, negative 3 and 30. 4 is not going to work. 5 should work, right? Negative 5 and what is that going to be? 16? Let's see, 16 times 5. Oh no, that's going to be 80. Okay, not 16. 18? Yeah, let's try that. 18 times 5. 8 times 5 is 40. Yeah, okay. So 5 and 18. And let's see, have we gotten that negative 9 yet? No, what about negative 6? Okay, 15 minus 6 is positive 9, so that's close. Let's flip those signs. 6, negative 15. There we go. So that took me a while. And if you struggle with those like I do sometimes, don't feel bad. Sometimes you just have to make a lot of mistakes until something works out. Let's rewrite this now. We got 9x squared plus 6x minus 15x minus 10. Now we're going to break these in half. 9x squared and 6x. We're going to factor out a 3x from here, and that's going to leave us 3x and 2. Okay. Now, right here, I got 15x, negative 15x, and negative 10. So because this is a negative, I always want to factor out a negative number. So we're going to factor out a negative 5. When I do that, I'm going to have 3x plus 2. Now just check and make sure this works. Negative 5 times 3x is negative 15x. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. And so now this is my common factor. 3x plus 2 is the common factor. So 3x plus 2 goes here, and 3x minus 5 goes there. And that's it. So today, guys, was a lot, but read through those notes, rely on the process, and if you need to, you can watch this video as many times as you want. Have a great day.